Hello everyone, Heliotropic Plasma here. Welcome to my basic guide on how to use the new and mostly improved mod tools that 343 Industries released to the public through the Master Chief Collection via Steam. This video will cover the installation of the mod tools, how to familiarize yourself with the mod tools programs, and how to make your first basic Halo map using Blender. If you are familiar with Gearbox's 2003 PC mod tools for Halo CE or for Halo 2 on Windows Vista, this should mostly apply to the new tools that are very similar to the Gearbox PC port of Halo CE. As of September of 2022, there are currently supported mod tools for Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo Reach. Before we get started, if you like this tutorial or found it helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It will help me out a great deal. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to reply your question as soon as I can. Without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, so we're going to go into installing the mod tools first. So in order to install them onto your computer, you're going to go into your Steam client right here and make sure you're in your library, and you're going to click in this drop down menu and click on tools and uncheck everything else. Once you've done that, we're going to scroll down until we see these mod tools here. So they should look exactly like this. So if this is your first time installing it, you would install these, and it will take a little bit for it to install. Once these do install, where you're going to go into the gear icon, manage, browse local files, and then in here you have this folder that basically has all the essential functions for the mod tools. So you have Guerilla, Sapien, Tool, and the standalone build of Halo 1. So by default, when you download these, you're not going to have these folders unzipped. You have to unzip them first before you can use any of these programs. So you can either extract them manually using 7-zip, or you can use the batch file. You can use the batch file to extract them, which is right here. So you could do whatever you want with this. You can do it this way, or you can extract them manually. If you're extracting them manually, just make sure that you don't have a duplicate tags folder, so that way it doesn't mess with the tools directories. Just so you know. So we're going to show you each of the functions of what these software does. So Guerilla is essentially a software where you can make new tags, open tags, modify tags. You can do lots of stuff in here regarding tags. So you can make shader models, transparent shaders for shields, force fields, and what may have it. All of this you can change in here. I mean, there's plenty of others you can mess around in here and make, but you could also open pre-existing ones that have been already in the game. So for instance, if we want to see a particular bitmap or a shader or whatever it is that you want to see, you can easily look that in into Guerilla, so you can actually view them. So you can look, for instance, we can go to detail strips here, and then we can go all the way down base map and that sort of thing, and you can look at the bitmaps through here. So yeah, this is the actual bitmap that the shader is using and that sort of thing. So all this is, there's just a lot of stuff you can do in Guerilla, but we're not going to be going crazy with Guerilla today. So we will use this a little bit with, for the tutorial that we're going to be doing with Blender. So anyways, that is Guerilla. Now for Sapien, this is the world editor. This is what allows you to edit specific tags into levels, like scenery objects, stuff like that. So once you've opened this program, this will open another file explorer. So you go to levels, we can go to test. Let's say we'll open Blood Gulch. We open the dot scenario tag for it, which Sapien reads. And for me, it's a little faster because I've already had these tools, and I've already launched these beforehand, but it typically takes a moment to load. But anyway, so if you want to move the camera in the game window, you hold in the middle mouse button with your mouse. So while holding your mouse, you can move the mouse around and pan the camera around. If you want to move the camera around, you use the WASD keys. If you're moving slowly, you can tap Shift to increase your speed incrementally. You can also hold Control to make it go faster. And you can also, while holding the middle mouse button in, to manually adjust the camera, so that way you can have some fine tuning. So you can use that however you like. Now, if you want to move it, the camera up and down, you hold R and then F respectively. So you can hold R to go up, F to go down. So yeah, that's pretty much the basic controls for for Sapien. Now, if you want to spawn something into the game, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your mission folder, game data, for instance, or actually not game data, objects, units, vehicles, and it already has vehicle tags in it. Now, typically, if you don't have any ones to choose from in the properties palette, you can go to edit types and you click add. And anything that's a vehicle tag, you can add within Halo 1. I don't know why it's in Halo 2. That's kind of weird. So if we're in Halo 1, you go to tags, and then you would go to vehicles, and you can choose any of these vehicles from this list. Some of these are from a custom edition thing I extracted. So these are not going to show up in yours, obviously. But yeah, so for instance, if I want to add the Scorpion, I do this and then hit add tag. But for me, I already have that tag, so I'm not going to really worry about it. Now, another thing to consider when you're making multiplayer maps, always use the multiplayer variant one. This is specifically meant for campaign and stuff like that. Same thing with the Warthog, same thing with the Banshee. So just so you're aware about that. So anyway, we're gonna exit out of here. Now I'm going to show you how to place vehicles. So once you added the tags for the vehicles, you're going to go to your properties palette, and you're going to select whatever vehicle you want to choose. And while in the game window, while hovering over it, you right-click to add the Warthogs together. And this is you can add as many as you want. I mean, whatever to your heart's desire that you want to add. So same thing goes for weapons, like items, weapons, same thing. You would go here and then add the weapons tag, but I'm not going to really do that. I mean, the stuff I just showed you can be applied with scenery objects, weapons, and all sorts of things. Most of it is almost the same. So really, that should be enough for you to get a good start at learning these tools. So that's Sapien. We're going to close out of here. Now, we're going to show you Tool.exe. So instead of doing this, it's not going to stay there for that long. And there's a reason for that. That's because we don't have this open in a proper command line window. In order to do that, we need to go up here. We're going to overwrite the directory of this root folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in cmd, all lowercase like this, and it should pop up with this window. So in this window, you can type in tool. It will come up with all these different commands. So basically, this is a command line tool for importing, collision, levels, stuff like that. Bitmaps, you can see right here, bitmaps, structure, which you would use a lot when it comes to making levels. And if you're a 3ds Max user or a Maya user or whatever the equivalent, you can import JMA, or you can convert your FBX files to JMS files or JMA files to convert it to the format for Halo. So pretty much all these other ones that you see in here. So these are the two major ones that got added with the new tools that we got from Halo. So anyways, we're going to exit out of here. So yeah, that's the command line tool. We'll show you how to use one particular command you're going to be using a lot, but we're not going to cover it right now. So we will cover it in the Blender section. So anyways, another thing that did get added into the newly updated mod tools that 343 gave us is the standalone build of Halo. So what this is, and I know it says Halo tag test, what this essentially does is basically it allows you to test your levels without having to compile them. Meaning, like I shown you, in the old days, you would have to use this command to make your map files and stuff. You use this command. So what they did is they added this one so you can directly load the map through the tags. So you don't have to, build the cache file like I showed you, where you have to test in custom edition, like what we had to do back in the day. So this is a very, very helpful tool when it comes to, looking at our single player maps. Exclusively, this is used for single player maps. You can use it for multiplayer. It's just really not suited for anything online. So it's really meant for Halo 1. Or it's only meant for, campaign and such. So that's what you would use that for. So anyways, those are the programs. Now we're going to go head over to Blender and showing you how to make your first basic Halo level. Alright, now on to the 3D modeling portion. So assuming if you have the Halo asset Blender toolset that you would get from the GitHub website, you can install those in the description. So for this portion, you're going to need Osoyoos, which is this GUI for most of these mod tools. So assuming if you have both of these soft pieces of software, you should be good to go when it comes to the 3D modeling portion. So let's get to it. Now by default, mine's going to look a little different than yours. I don't have a camera into my scene or a light. I changed my defaults, so yours is going to be the default most commonly. But most common, you would delete most of these and carry on. So what you would do is you would do Shift A and then you would create a cube, which I've already done. Then what we're going to do is we are going to increase our view. So by hitting N on your keyboard, opens this little menu up. Go to View, type in your distance to like 1 trillion, something like this. Now also put your clip start to 1 meter. The reason why we do this is so we don't have any flickering weird faces going on with our geometries. Just so it would stop from doing that, you could just put 1 or 5 or whatever, how many meters it is instead of 0.01. So now what we're going to do is we are going to put in the scale model for Master Chief. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Halo Tools, and in here we're going to go to Scale Model Helper and make sure this is Halo CE. We're going to character, and then we're going to look for Cyborg, which is the model for Master Chief. Generate scale model, and you'll see the model of Master Chief. So now we kind of have an idea of how small this cube is if we're going to put this in the game. So now we're going to scale this cube by tapping S on our keyboard and moving it like this, and then left clicking. So we're kind of doing this and making it even more bigger. Now as you're expanding it, it's always a good idea to flip the normals. So what flipping the normals is basically pointing the direction where the player is going to be. So like pointing the arrows inside instead of outside the cube. So if we want to see where the normals are pointing, we're going to go into here and we're going to put this on. Now, if you don't see any of this when you're putting this on, you could put it to like 30, like manually put 30 or 40 into the thing. And you can see here it's not going to really do anything, so we're going to increase it a little larger. So maybe 100 would be ideal. Probably 300 would be enough, just enough where you can see the normals. You can go a little higher if you want, but for me, I'm going to go a little higher, so maybe 1,000 would work. And you can also do face orientation, which basically means blue is good and then red is bad, meaning it kind of works like what the arrows work with, but except it's color based. But anyways, we're just gonna be using the arrows anyway. So we're gonna continue to scale it just enough to coincide with that. And for our normals, I forgot to also mention, since we are showing our normals, now it's a good time to flip them. So we're going to go up to this menu, go to Mesh, Normals, and then we're going to do Flip. And what this will do is this will flip the normals inside of the cube. And so now that we've done that, now we're going to turn on what's called Backface Call. So go up to this top right menu here and go to Backface Calling and check that box. And what that will do is that it will show inside the cube. Since we flipped the normals, we can see inside of our cube since our normals are pointed the other way. So if it was pointed the other way, like outside of the cube, we wouldn't be able to see in. So for instance, if I flip this right here, I can't see inside the cube. Now if I flipped it the other way again, I can see in the cube inside again. So very simple stuff. So we don't want to make it too big, so don't go too big with it. Just kind of make it a little medium size. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but anyways, I'm going to go into free cam mode here. You can also activate that by doing Shift tilde on your keyboard, or tilde. We're going to go up by doing GZ, moving it up. And we can also do, just for accurate representation, we can put vertex snapping on, click this magnet, and then GZ, move it up, and you can kind of have the chief standing there. You can kind of move this around whatever you want to, but anyway. Now, I know that there's another tutorial video out there showing you to do exactly what I just did, but what we're going to do differently, instead of doing the modeling part, which is like insetting, extrude and scale, extrude again, scale. No, we're not doing any of that funny business. I mean, you could do that if you want to, but we're just going to do some subdividing. So we're going to put a custom ground texture. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into here, we're going to go into new, and then inside of here, we're going to type exactly this, example tutorial ground, underscore ground. So exactly typed like this. And it's very important that you type this exactly like this, because this will refer to the game as a shader. And so it will use this exact name for the shader that's in the tags. It will use that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put in the image texture. So in the base color of where the surface panel is, you're going to click on this yellow little circle here next to the base color, and we're going to do image texture. And then once here, you're going to click open image, and then here we are going to go to our mod tools folder. And if you haven't done that, you can easily go here and then click this plus mark, and it will add it to the bookmark. So you can go to HCEK, you go to data, levels, test, tutorial, bitmaps, and then in here, and you can also click in here if you don't see the, or actually you can click this to see the images themselves. If you don't see them, in images. So anyway, this is the texture we're after. So this is one of the tutorial levels Gearbox made a long time ago. So 343 gave us these TIFF files, which are kind of the format for running those into Halo. So we're not going to be using them for Halo, so this is only for reference. So since they're about the same in the Halo engine, these are references. So we're going to click on this ground texture. We're going to click open image, and then in here we're going to go up to top right, and then we're going to select texture, and then you're going to see this. And don't panic when you see this, because that's because we didn't add another texture for our sky. So for our sky, it's very important that we call this plus sky. And you would also, hold shift and left click to pretty much select the faces individually. And you go to sky and then assign it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of shade this, or we're going to color this like a light blue, kind of sky blue. We're going to assign it. And it's not going to show up as blue, because that's because when we hold Z and then go to material preview, we see this as blue. So yeah, in solid view, you don't see it that way. So anyway, now we're going to do our first UV unwrap. Yeah, I know that's very surprising, but for basics, we're just going to do a UV unwrap. But before we do that, we're going to expand our width. So what we're going to do is we're going to do S and then X. What this will do is this will scale only on the X-axis. And the same thing can be said for the Y-axis. We're going to do the same thing, kind of like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to subdivide this 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is basically we are putting this into cubes. So If this gets a little too hasty where you can't get into the subdivisions, you can also hold Shift and click these faces, and you can hit H on your keyboard to hide them. And then once you're done, you can do Alt H to make them reappear again. So just for reference. So what we're going to do here now is we are going to hold Shift, or not hold Shift. We're gonna like go like this. Basically highlight most of our squares inside of here, and then what we're going to do is make sure they're assigned, and we're going to go to we're going to go and right click. Well, we're going to make a new window. So what we're going to do is we're going to see this two double arrows that we see here. Right click, vertical split, and you're going to and I'm not clicking on anything. You would left click to make the new window, and you can hold the middle mouse button to move the menus around so you can get to the buttons that are hidden. And then on the top left, you're gonna hit this UV editor button right here. So we're gonna go to the UV editor right here, and there's our texture. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to UV unwrap this sucker. So now, before we do anything else, we also want to make sure we don't have our alphas to anything. So this is set to none. Everything should be default for that fact. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit U on our keyboard, and now we're going to do Smart UV Project. Make sure correct aspect and scale to bounds is highlighted. Once that is done, now you should be good to go. So now you can simply right click on this this double arrow again, and you can do join areas, and then we're going to join this 3D area over the UV stuff. And now we have our texture in. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add like a little bit of hills to it, just for basics. We're going to do this whole the structure stuff in a later date, but for now we're just going to do it this way. So we're gonna select these faces right here. I know I'm kind of doing this awkwardly, so I'm just kind of doing it by here. Now, for reference, what I like to do is hide these faces, and both of these sides are like double selected, just like what I'm doing, and then the ones that are vertical or horizontal, depending on where you're looking at, this is what it looks like here. So now we're going to do a GZ. Make sure your snapping's off by clicking on this magnet, or you could do Shift Tab and then GZ. Move it up on the Y-axis, and there you go. We have some sort of base geometry. And also as a final part that we're going to be messing with our mesh is what's called proportional editing, which is right next to this magnet. We're going to click on that and then GZ, and before we move it up, we're going to scroll our mouse wheel backwards like this, and this is going to create like a smooth hill to it, and that's going to be really nice, like a really nice hill. It didn't have to be huge, but it didn't have to be huge, so you could just do it like this. Just subtle enough where it's a little tall but not too big, and you should be pretty good to go. Now, since we have all this done, now for our final step, we are going to add a frame to it. So make sure in your object mode again, Shift A, cube, and then you're going to scale this upwards, just enough where you can see it. Oh, I accidentally butchered that up a little bit. So I would move this on the Y-axis, it doesn't really matter. Just keep it next to your base. And then what you're going to call this by pressing F2, we're going to type frame exactly like this. And it's very important you call it exactly how I typed it, because this will refer to Tool that this is your center point of your map. So now what we're going to do is we are going to tie this with the frame. So what you're going to do is you're going to left click on your level first, then what you're going to do is you're going to hold Shift and left click on the cube secondly. What this means is we are going to set this will be parented with the frame. So we're going to do Control P, Object Keep Transform. And voila, you're done from that period, and now your level should be exportable and ready for Tool to make a structured BSP for you. So now what you're going to do is now, assuming if you have the Halo tools, we're going to go to File, Export, Halo Jointed Model Skeleton. And then in here, we're going to go into the HCEK folder, Data, Levels. In here, you can do Test. And then you can also, and then while you're in here, you're going to right click, make a new folder. We're going to call this Blender Test. So I don't know why it didn't work. I'll probably have another, I might have another folder that's named exactly like that. You can call it Blender Test, however you want to call it, but just call it something like Test 1, whatever it is, just like Test 1 or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call mine Test 1. And then we're going to make another folder inside of this folder called Models. And then inside of here, this is where you're going to export your JMS. So you can put it at any level of detail that you want. If you have a beefy computer, you can do super high, but just for this tutorial, we're going to do medium. Disable checksum, write texture packs, uncheck, check edge angle, and pretty much all these other ones should be fine to export. Make sure that this is called test 1, and then you would export JMS. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go to Osoyoos, and assuming that you have this software and set up the proper profiles for it, now what we're going to do is we are going to go into here, Browse, and then what we're going to do is we are going to go to our data folder where we put our JMS. So we're going to do test, test 1, models, and if it doesn't name it like this, it's okay. You can do test 1 again to rename the JMS to the same thing as the folder. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open it. I don't know why it's not opening. There we go. So we have opened that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to import this only. We don't want to do import lighting yet. So don't worry about lighting until we import this into Halo. So now you should be ready to go. So import level. So this is what's going to give us our all of our stuff, and there we go. So this is all of the information, and now it checked to make sure our geometry is clean, and it did. This is me having the verbose argument, meaning it will generate additional feedback, like how much time it took and that sort of thing. Anyway, so it will tell you that structured BSP, and it will tell you it generated it, 512 services and 602 vertices, da 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 da. It's ready for it to be. It's ready to be looked at in Sapien. So before we go into Sapien, we need to set up a Skybox. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Guerilla, and then we're going to open our scenario tag. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Levels, Test, Test 1, Test.Scenario. And then in here, it will take a little bit to load. We're going to immediately change this to multiplayer. And then we're going to click Add to add a sky. Click the 3 dots. And then inside of where the Halo root folder is, we're going to do tags, sky, do clear afternoon as a starter. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to scroll a little bit down here. And until when you see starting equipment, hit this plus button, hit Add, type 0. All games, hit the 3 dots again, but instead we're not looking for a sky this time. We're going to look for an item collections folder for the weapons. So for starters, we could just do the assault rifle, and on our second we can do, I don't know, like a pistol of some kind. Yeah, we could just do the pistol, and there we go. That's our pistols. You could do all sorts of stuff if you want in here. So yeah, that should be pretty good. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go to File and then Save, and this will save the scenario tag. So now exit out of Guerilla. Now we're going to light the map. Now for starters, you can run this on draft lighting and just go on max like this. So that way you can run it on draft settings. Now, if you have a beefy computer, you can do final if you want, but in this case, we're going to do draft and then do max here, and then import light levels. So make sure you put it on light only. So we're going to click on this, and within seconds, depending on what your computer power is, it should be already done at that point. So we're going to hit enter, or we're going to hit space, whatever key it is. And now we're going to run Sapien. So in Sapien, we're going to do test and look for test one, and then test1.scenario. And then we're going to hit open. And all the hard work pays off. There it is. There's the whole level that we just exported. So now this is your entire level right here in Halo. So this is running in Halo 1's engine. So, all right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add a spawn point into here, and we are gonna put our player starting points, and then in the properties palette over here, we're going to do all games, and in here, you would right-click in the viewport to put in your spawn point, and you can also use this little arrow to rotate it and such. And if you want to, you can add like vehicles like I mentioned earlier. So, God, I keep mixing that. So you do units, edit types, add, and I don't know why it goes into my Halo 2 folder. I have no idea why. So we go to HCEK, which is the editing kit folder for Halo 1, tags, vehicles, and then in here we I don't know, we could just do the Warthog. So Warthog, MP Warthog, add tags. And if we want to, we can add a Banshee if we really wanted to. So we can do in here, and then MP vehicle Banshee. There we go. And once you add those tags, we're going to put in the Warthog right here, which is right smack dab there. And rotate it around like this. And then Banshee, we can add here. There we go. So we're going to rotate it. There we go. Then Control S, and that should be pretty good. Now, we're not going to get into putting weapons on the map. I mean, you can. You just have to put them in a neck game equipment. As a bonus, if you want to do this, you can. You do neck game equipment. For this, you could do all games here and then put the spawn time, whatever else. And then we're going to click on these three dots in the property palette. And then we're going to go into the item collections folder for Halo 1. So tags and item collections, single weapons. I don't know, we just add like tons of rocket launchers or something interesting. I don't know where the rocket launcher is, or I'm just not seeing it. Plasma rifle, cannon. Yep, there it is. I was just blind. So we're going to open that, and once we do, it's going to pop up with these gizmos, and that's normal. So we're just going to add, I don't know, just a few of these like that, and then Control S to save the scenario. And now when we're done with Sapien, we're going to do the tag test build of Halo 1. So we're going to exit out of this, make sure you save it. And then we're going to go to the tag test build. So for this, it's already binded to Osoyoos, which you can do in Osoyoos and bind it to for the root folders. So we're going to left click on here and let this run. Okay, so now we are in the tag test build. Now, I know people are going to say, well, why can I not see my map in here? Well, that's because this whole menu is its own separate menu file. So really, it's not going to really show your map in here. So instead, you have to type it in a command. So we're going to use the map name command, which is this, and then we're going to type in space, levels, /test, /test1, or whatever you called your level, and then / again, test1, and then hit enter. And initially, you can't spawn into your level, and that's because we don't have the game variant set up. So what we need to do is we need to set up our game variant. So we're going to do game variant _variant. We're going to put in Slayer, and then map _reset. Hit enter and then hit tilde again to get out of the console window.
Slayer.
And bam. We have spawned in. I don't know why my Warthog did not spawn, which is really weird. Anyway, so here you are in the tag test build. So this is your level inside of Halo 1. So if you have any questions in this video, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll be happy to answer them. So as always, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next video. Take care, everyone.